Billy the Artist here with another how to draw lesson, and today we are going to be drawing the coronavirus, the Covid-19, the thing that's causing all of this lockdown all around the world. Now we did do how to draw a toilet roll, so we got the full drawing, but we also have the bird of peace, so do check out the link in the cards and the description for those videos. There are also over 110 videos in my how to draw playlist already, so do please check those out, because there's everything for beginners, from Olaf through to Harry Potter, portraits, the whole lot, how to draw anything, parts 1 and part 2, the absolute basics. Do check them out, but we are going to get on with this drawing of the coronavirus. Now again, this is like how to draw anything, part 1, using shapes. I'm going to do it colour, and I'm using my trusty 2B pencil. The grids I've put on fairly light, you can see they're on here. Check the banner here, this will give you the dimensions for this. This is A4 paper, and how to mark it up. But basically, if you want to do it in proportion, and if you're using a smaller piece of paper where it's in proportion to A4, say you're using A5, or even if you're doing A3 bigger, draw a line down the centre. So you just measure it, draw a line down the centre, and then measure inside there, halfway again, halfway at the bottom, draw your line, halfway between the centre line and the top, halfway between centre line and the bottom, and draw your lines across. That's how you can do it without using the exact measurements, but do check that out. And anyway, we're going to then colour in using black felt tip pens. I am going to use basic felt tip pens from a supermarket or a thrift store. And oh look, there we have a toilet roll. It's still here. I may need that later because I still haven't seen any in the supermarkets. And simple pencil crayons. These pencil crayons that I've got, they're over 20 years old. So we're just going to do a quick drawing using the shapes. So we're going to crack on back in here. So now from the centre line here, I'm just going to draw a bit of a wiggly shape, and then here we've got kind of halfway down, we've got another oval, we've got a bit of a triangle going on, and we've got a bit of a rectangle, we've got a bit of a circle going on up there, and then going up through here we've got another rectangle, and right round the back we can just draw a big kind of circle for the actual cell body with all of the fronds and prongs that are sticking out, and you can see that kind of comes down here. So there you can see, and I'm using very white hot pressed paper, which is a bit like Bristol board. So I'm now going to draw on a bit darker so that you can see that. So there's the circle in the background, and then we've got this one here, and we've got another circle there, and then we've got another circle that's on the top of that, and then we've got those rectangles, and we've got another rectangle that's coming up off the top there, and then going through this point here we've got another rectangle, and then we've got another circle on the top there, little rectangle coming down to there, and again rectangle plinging off to the side. Now I'm just drawing these in very, very quick basic shapes. This is how you can use the foundations, and this is medical illustration as well. Medical illustration has a long history, and again another couple of rectangles there coming out on the side. We want a little circle there, but medical illustration goes back to the era of the body snatchers, and doctors always kind of had drawings so they could show people what they were doing. We need another, I've got a little circle there, we want a little, well these are kind of ellipses, little wobbly ellipses, we want another one there, and we want a third one there. So now the second one is going to go all the way to there, and then we've got that one there, and this is how simple it is, just using basic shapes. But I was saying medical illustration, which is what this is now done digitally, but it's got a long history going back hundreds of years. Florence, there was a man who carved up bodies and did waxworks of them. You can find those kind of things online. But then we had what were called resurrectionists, and they would dig bodies up few hundred years ago. Burke and Hare in Scotland were two of the main ones. And there's a film with Simon Pegg in all about that. And the man who played, I can't think of his name now, the man who played Gollum anyway, and does all the motion capture stuff, he was in it with Simon Pegg. Bit of a comedy thing, but again, that talks about, so we've got another long one, we've got a little blobble on the end, and then we've got another rectangle coming out here with a little blobble at the end. Then we've got one on the edge there, slight cone, same here on this side, and then the same here. But the resurrectionists would go and dig up bodies out of the ground after they've just been buried, and they would take them to the surgeons so the surgeons could perform operations for people. But as the surgeons were going, they would also take drawings and photographs of the inside of the body parts, and that's how medical illustration, which is what we're kind of doing now, but in a how to draw way, so you can learn the basic techniques. And here we've got one coming behind that, it's quite a long cone, we've got a circle there, and that goes up, and then we've got another little circle ellipse thing there, and then another rectangle coming down onto the sphere, one kind of behind, that's fitting in there. So you can see we're just getting all the fronds that are sticking out. Now again, we've got to bring that up, and we can do that, and we've got another one, so we want the little kind of ellipse there, and then a rectangle coming down, and then another rectangle going up, another little ellipse, and then there's another one out the back, and now we have got a long cone coming up, kind of a little blobble on the top. Again, this is quite good because there's no solid lines, so you can just have fun. And remember to do that, just have fun with your drawing. But do check out the links in the cards and the descriptions for the videos, the playlists as well for all the others, because it will show you the techniques that you need. And I'm just going to draw on these rectangles little kind of circle ellipses at the top. That one's in front and then that one's behind. And so we can, that's going to go down like the base of a tree. And at the bottom you can see they just kind of flare out that little bit. So there we have, very quickly, the mass shape. I'm now going to use, just a marker pen, and we're going to start. Now again, you can put the pencil down, you're going to get it with your hand and you're going to make your hand dirty. So I am just going to draw around very kind of quickly, but you can just wiggle these lines. And you can see there's a kind of shadow inside. So I'm drawing another one inside that outer ellipse that I've drawn. Now again, this is a bit like a kind of tree trunk. You know, as you come down the line, you can just wiggle it, but you can just see how it spreads out at the bottom, thicker like a tree trunk. And the same there. I'm just going to do all the outlines. And hopefully this will be rather a quicker video. There's one going up, and we've got the blobble going round and coming right the way round. And that goes down. That's behind, that's kind of at the back. And we've got this one here that's kind of coming up. And it just tapers in at the top. So we drew that rectangle. We can use that as a guide. And we can send that up, and then you get the little bobble on the top, and then this one is kind of large and it just comes down. So again, if you just think of it like little tree trunks, you know, a fairly young tree that's got a thinner tree trunk than one that's been there for say 50, 60, 100 years. These are young trees that are like less than 10 years old. We planted one in our garden. It's about 10 years old, and so compared to the beech trees that have been there for 50, 60 years, it's got a thin trunk like this rather than a massive thick one. So there we've got that one that's round the back. So we want to take that down. So now we've got that one going up and the shape at the top. And this is great because you can just wobble the lines down. So you can see it's really starting to leap off the page very, very quickly. Now again, on the YouTube video, anything like this that you are watching, if you've got a keyboard, I don't know if there's a shortcut like this on a tablet or a mobile phone, but if you've got a keyboard, watch this on a computer. If you press, and we want that line coming around the back, which is this edge of the sphere of the cell, if you press J, you can skip back live 10 seconds. If you press L, you can skip forwards 10 seconds. If you press K, you can pause the video. So you can pause the video and then you can skip backwards and forwards and keep going over bits if you kind of miss it. So do check out any of my drawing videos and you can actually then skip backwards and forwards quite happily. So now we need that coming down. Now I've gone a bit too far over, you can see that line's there, but that doesn't matter. That's the thing with this cell, you can just draw it how you want. So I'm just wobbling that up now, and there's the one behind. So even though the line should have come down there, I've just made it a little bit wider because I was talking and not really looking. But that's the bonus with a cell like this. You can just do those kind of little things, and it doesn't matter about copying it absolutely exactly. We've got the one at the back there, and then we want this one, and they join, and then we've got that coming out all the way to that one behind there, and then we've got another one, and this is just a simple permanent marker. I have bought a load more because I'm going to be doing lots of things with marker pens and in the ensuing weeks. And then we've got follow that rectangle up, and you've got the base coming down, and then we've got the edge. So that comes round now past the centre line and out here. But I am, for beginners, I'm going to do lots and lots of basics videos of simple things. If you go and look, and they are rather complex because they're rather detailed, the Harry Potter crests, there's a lot in there, but it's just using basic techniques, so they're rather long. But I am going to do some quick ones like this one, and we want the edge of the cell coming round, and then we've got this tree stump bit coming out, and then we want the same coming off to the edge here, and then we want that one going down to the body of the cell, and we've got this one behind, and we did miss one with the pencil here, but you can see you just got the top, so you just draw the top in at the back. Now we've got this one and the same here, but this is how you observe. So we can just draw the line at the back, and you know you've got that one covered. And we've got this one here, which is the top, and then you've got it going down like a trunk, and then the same here, circle wobbly lips at the top, and the same there, and then the wobbly tree trunk coming down, and that goes over there, and that comes to there, and then you've got the edge of the cell, and then that trunk of the frond going up to that one. Then we've got the edge of the cell coming round up here, and then that trunk going off, little ellipse at the top. And it's a bit, you know, we've done a clock, we've gone all the way round, just doing it one after the other like a clock. So there's the edge of the cell, and you've got this one at the back. And then we've got a nice circle there, and that goes down there, and then we've got the very final one that we started with at the beginning. Oh, missed a couple down here. And this is the thing, you just look and you can build up your drawing slowly. So again, there we have all of the prongs and fronds drawn on, and after we've put down the pencil line. Now, I'm going to use, like I said, I use these Stettler Mars plastic erasers. So I'm going to rub out the pencil lines. Now, when I did the toilet roll one, check the link in the cards in the description for the full drawing of the toilet roll. And it was a quilted one because I couldn't get a smooth one. And as I've said, I have not seen toilet roll now in the supermarkets for 10 days because people have been very silly, which is sad really, because there was no need for it. So now I've just got rid of all of those lines. So I've used my hand, but you can also just use a brush. I've got an old paintbrush here, and you can just dust off all of the rubbings out. So there we have the Sal so far. Now we're going to ink in. Now again, I'm using the same one because I don't think I have got, let me just look in my little pot. Oh, I think I've got, yeah, I've got one with a bigger nib. So this can help now. So what we started on here, we've got, oh, can't anyway, it's dead, so that can go in the bin. So really I should be using a thicker nib now, which would make it quicker. But I'm using the side of the nib, and I'm just filling in, bitting all of these, well, you can see like the shadow here. So I'm just doing it inside and just putting some, but I'm following the shape. You can see it just follows the shape around. And that's what gives it its curve and definition. And so this is like a shadow. So the light is kind of coming from behind, causing this shadow on the front. And I'm just filling it in with bits. And it is a bit like a tree trunk. And the way that the light is going on it, you'd see it if the sun was setting behind it in a forest, or if you've got trees in your garden or locally too, you just go and look at it when the sun's setting, and you will see this kind of light. So here we've got the shadow right up on the one behind, but I'm just doing the bits. And again, don't go right to the edge because you want this kind of highlight. And I'm now filling in. So this is kind of like comic books, inking in, and there's a full industry out there of people who ink in comic books, and you can do it digitally or you can do it manually. Some people still prefer the traditional way, but most comics are done digitally now. But it's the same technique, and I love using traditional media because it is very, very hands-on. And if you're stuck in and all you've got is crayons and pencils, then this is what you can do. So again, I am now just following the side, but again, I'm not holding the pen like you would as if you were writing. I am literally using the side of the nib because it allows me to get more ink down. So here we've got a shadow on the top, but it doesn't go right to the edge, and you can just touch it a little bit. And I'm going down again. I'm just following the kind of slight shape of the frond coming down. Now, this is quite a dark one, but at the top you've just got a little bit, and then it's really full and solid. Now you can see it's really starting to get more three-dimensional definition rather than just these lines that are around here. So now this one the shadow goes right up to the edge of the one in front because we're doing the one behind. And again, we've got little bits at the top. And even though I'm going straight on the paper here, if you're a little bit unsure, get a different piece of paper first and just make some marks. Have a go. Just making some marks with your pen. Just try different things. Pressing on lighter, harder, softer. So now this one's got quite a thick solid shadow there, and that comes down, and then this one that's coming off the top, and we've got less lines like this one coming down, got more light, but we're following the curve a little bit. And then this one's a very dark one, so we've got lots of dark here coming all the way down. I mean, you could draw a line all the way so you know that you've got it solid, and come right the way down to the edge of the body, and then it becomes lighter. And this one at the back, similar kind, very dark. But again, remember, you don't go to the edge, you need to leave that kind of highlight right the way to the edge. This one you've got a large amount there, and then as it comes around to the edge you want to leave a little bit of space, but then again it's lighter, but you want to follow the curve coming this way, you know, curving that way. Now this one we've got a little bit in the centre, some bits around the edge. And then we've got the shadow going right up to the trunk of the one in front of it. This one at the back. Again, very deep, dark and shadows. I've just put another couple of little bits in there. All the way down. And this one. Bit in the edge, and then the trunk is quite solid. You can see like how you're getting more definition, and it's giving you the shape and tone. So when we put the colour on top in a little while, it'll really then have 3D form. So this one's coming down to the trunk. Now we're going to have a dark mass here, and you've got this highlight all the way around on the body, and the darks around the outside will give it that three-dimensionality. So I'm just going to indicate that we've got the shadow coming in. It's going to come around up to this body, and we need to put that in last. You can choose to do it earlier if you want, but it's up to you. Like I say, I do this just, you get into a formula and you follow a thread when you start drawing, and I try and do this so that you can actually see everything in a logical progression, and that's all drawing is. It's using systems, and again you'll see that in How to Draw Anything Part 1 using the shapes. Again, link in the cards in the description, check it out. There is a logical progression to laying a drawing down using basic shapes as you go. So that's quite a dark one, and we need to just build that up a bit. Again, even here I've got a very dark line because I'm using a thick marker pen. I'm not going for a photorealistic copy of the actual image that's in front of us. We're doing this a bit like a comic and a cartoon. So it gets lighter there, but we've got all the dark coming down of this trunk. And again, darker on the top of the frond, and then the trunk coming down. I'm going to put the, there we go, try that. Put the cap on. No, it's not. It's just the length of the pen is just jabbing into my hand. So So you just got to find how to get comfortable with the drawing implement that you're using so as I can actually use the side. Now this one, we've got a dark shape there and it kind of goes a little bit lighter towards the edge, and then we want the curve coming this way, and then there's the one behind, and then we've got a big dark bit on the top of this one, and we follow the shapes around to the edge, but again it's lighter like these ones around here. And there, so that goes down to the bottom, and then I'm going to do this one first on the top because it's in the foreground, and less than that but about the same as these bits coming down. And then the same here, so I'm now coming up, and that's solid all the way up. So you've got a solid black shadow, and then you've got the frond at the top. Now we want a dark shadow coming all the way up this one. And the same here, and this one's quite a dark one as well, but you can see how I've literally just worked all the way around in a simple progression. So this one again, it's quite a dark one coming all the way down, and I'm now coming off at the base, and these ones behind, so I'm going to do the very dark one first. Coming down, that's right at the back, and then this one is not as dark as that one. Some bits on it, and this one on the front, got a darker shadow there with some bits over the top. And again, we want to lightly, again following the curve, it's facing this way. And now this final one before the center on the edge, again not so many there, and then this one is very dark right in the center, but just kind of try and keep it bitty at the edge. It doesn't matter if you miss some little bits inside. And now we need to do the dark on the actual body of the cell. And so now, help this pen, don't pack up on me yet. We're going around and we're filling in all the shapes, the shadow on the shape of the actual body of the virus. And I'm going round, and you've got the actual shapes going up to the fronds as they're coming off. So just look how the shadow, you've got these big dark areas with bits in between. So around the base it's going to be curved, but you have to curve around each one appropriately. So around this one it's curving that way, the same here. But when it comes to this one, it's curving that way, and then it's curving in a circle all around this one. So just follow the shape. So again, around the base of this one now, it's curving that way, like off a B or a capital D, whereas around that one it's curving like a capital C. So again, just follow the shapes, follow the direction of the actual fronds, and that'll help you to create the three-dimensional form. So here it's like a capital C, and we're coming round. And this doesn't matter whether you're doing a pen and ink drawing of anything, just look and follow the shapes. So now we want kind of less, but you still follow, you know, this is like cross hatching, and you're just filling in the space, so you're letting more white show through, so it's darker here than it is there. You can see there's a darker mass appearing. Now there's a shadow on the top cast by that one that's behind, and we've got little bits coming down, but we need to follow the line around there, the bottom of this frond now. And again, the ones round behind the back, so you've got more white space. So I'm just lightly using the tip a little bit, filling in some areas. You can see it's getting a full kind of shape, darkening up on that top part. And just filling in now even darker patches. And you can see how it just makes it look more solid and more three-dimensional. So now we've got to do more dark, following the shape of this frond around, then some lighter bits, and as we come out to the edges, we want less, and we'll do some with the colour here in a bit. So I'm darkening that one down. Again, this one, so we want the base. We want darker. Coming all the way around for the centre. And following again the shape around, we want less black here and allowing it to stay lighter to the edge. And the same with here, and we're just filling this space in with some, and this needs to be a lot darker. Same with that frond, and the same with that frond. So now you can see the body in the centre has got this dark shadow. And this is the thing with cross hatching, you can carefully increase the intensity to actually make the centre a darker mass going out to the edges. So now we're on the last bit, so I'm just using the tip very gently and carefully as we come down. We need to really increase that going up there, and the same with that one going up to the edge of there, and into the background on that one. And the same for these. And so now going right to the edge. So there you can see we've got this dark mass, but I need to increase it here a little bit. You got that dark mass forming the central shadow with all of the fronds coming around. So now we are going, here we've got that done to a pen and ink. You could leave it like that, or you can try and colour it in. So this is all kind of oranges. Now again, I'm using fairly cheap felt tip pens. I'm not using blinging felt tip pens. So I'm going to try, I'm using just a simple yellow first, and we're going to go for layers. And again, this is going to be cross hatching. Again, you can choose and use any colours. You know, you could colour this purple, you could colour it green, you can colour it reddy orange, but yellow is the lightest colour. And I'm shading this in quick, so it doesn't matter if you go over the edges. It's just about having fun. And like I say, when you do it, you actually notice that you miss some bits. And you go back on. And so I'm just using this again, the fat side of this, to fill in as quickly as I can all of the white areas. And you can see all of a sudden that started to look very dynamic and very different just by applying some simple colour, because you've differentiated it now from the background. Now you can colour the background if you want, but I'm going to leave it white just because it's good fun, and that will take a lot longer. Now, as I said, I'm going to be doing lots of simple and more complex videos, so do like and subscribe and tick the bell to my YouTube channel. And there's going to be the Harry Potter ones that people have asked for, and lots of others. But share these out, because people will have a lot of time on their hands to do lots and lots of stuff. And you could do this with wax crayons, you could do it with just pencil crayons, you don't have to use felt tips. So there we have all of that coloured in yellow. Now I'm going to go over it. That's too dark. With this kind of, no, even that's too dark. But this is the thing, you can, that's better. So I'm pressing on lightly. And I'm just trying to fill this in quickly using this orange. Now, I could have come straight in. Now you can actually test on a separate piece of paper first, if you're not sure about the colour. Like I just went straight in here, and that's kind of advisable. You can just test very, very quickly before you dive in with your colour. So now I'm filling the body in with this orange. And the cells started to look rather angry. This is rather good. So, oh, this is fun. I hope you're enjoying this. This is such a strange time for many, many people. but I'm going to do my best to try and give you lots of drawing things to do to keep you occupied. And there we go, we've nearly filled this one in now with the orange. And you can see how all the black that you've put in first has created the shape and form of the COVID coronavirus cell. So there we have a full darkened COVID-19 cell. Now, I'm using the slightly darker one for the more shadowed areas. This is a slightly darker orange, and I'm going over where all the darker shadows are, keeping it inside the lines and just leaving the edges clear. Again, I'm doing this really quickly. You can go a little bit slower if you want, but sometimes doing things quickly helps you develop your techniques because you're forcing yourself to draw quickly. You're looking and then applying. So now I'm just like cross-hatching, but going in the same direction as all the marks I've made before. Darkening that one, and darkening that one. And so that's really given a lot more depth and darkness. Just going to put the lighter orange back on again. So now this should be an even darker orange, and so now I'm doing it again and darkening it down. And if you go round like a clock, you won't miss any. So I started at the top and I'm going down and around and filling all of the fronds in, but not going right to the edge. Now I've put all of this colour on. Again, on these lighter ones and around the body, I'm just putting some dab marks on. This is like cross-hatching, just putting dots on. It's a kind of pointerless technique, but I'm still following the direction and shape of the fronds on the shell, like the tree trunks, coming all the way around. So there you can see that's really got the quality now of a 3D item. It's got more three-dimensionality. Now again, you cannot put yellow on top of this, but you can if you've got some kind of pencil crayons. So it is a lot lighter. So I'm going to use just a white pencil crayon and try yellow, but it's very orange, and that's the same kind of tone as that, so it's not making much of a difference. Whereas if I put the yellow on, I can say this is kind of very whitey red. It's more kind of pinky. But you can be limited by... so there, I've put the pink on and I've put the white on. You can see that's really giving a bit more shape. So I'm now going to go round. I'm using this pink. I'm putting a little bit of pink on first, on the edges and on the highlights and around the top. So, and I'm doing this very quickly. All the way down. And so, here, we want that white right to the edge. And I could have stopped when I just coloured it in, and you can, you just put the orange in, that'd be absolutely fine. That's a perfectly fine choice. But I'm just doing this to fill everything in and finish off. And just to the point where I'm happy with the drawing, and hopefully encourage you more with your drawings as well. But I'm putting the pink in, so when the white goes on the top, it'll kind of blend with it as well and help with the colour. So here we've got that one, and now we've got coming up to the edge. And if you did fill the background in, when you actually put the highlight on, it would make it really stand out. So now, do the very centre one, put the pink on. So, adding the white highlights down. And now I'm going to follow this all the way down and all the way around the edge. But say if the background was completely covered in, the white highlight would really make it stand out. Like you can see there, the white highlight, because of the dark around the background, would really make it stand out. And this is making our coronavirus cell very live and good. Now, unfortunately, these things make people very, very poorly, the same as any disease, whether it's a cough, a cold, a flu. And it's amazing that we've got the microscopes to actually see these now. And it's brilliant, all the work that the medical teams do to actually help people, whatever the illness. So just be very, very thankful for everything that everybody is doing, because by people doing medical illustration over the centuries, hundreds of years, right the way through to digital medical illustration now, we've been able to teach the next generation of doctors, nurses, epidemiologists, research specialists, vaccine creators, because they will have looked in textbooks and now online in their medical journals and online medical forums, and the illustrations are the things that people have used over the years to train the next generation for what they've found out. So things that were discovered, so like when penicillin was discovered and whatever medication, the journals and diaries and writings and notes that were made by the medical staff are what have kept our doctors today informed and up to date. And it all started with a simple pencil and a pen and some watercolour or a crayon. So it doesn't matter if you want a career in art, you can, again, I'm following the direction of the trunk on this. If you want a career in art, learn to draw. Doesn't matter if it's digital, you need these basic techniques, which is why I love using a pencil so much. So here we have this cell nearly done. Again, this is a bit like a comic. So if you're doing a comic strip, I can remember my first kind of drawing experiences as a young person. I copied the Bash Street Kids out of the Beano, one that my brother did. And then I got onto other comics, and I ended up with 2000 AD and Judge Dredd and Rogue Trooper and many other characters. And so it doesn't matter whether it's Mickey Mouse or The Simpsons. Again, there's loads of Simpsons and other characters in my How to Draw. There you can see the cell is pretty much done, and you can keep going as long as you want. But this is basic pen and ink techniques. So now I am going to add some lighter ones, just the cracks on the surface of the cell coming around, because you can add them with the pencil crayon on top. And that is very, very, very good. Now again, if you did fill in the background, like the reference image, you would see a lot more, but you can see the highlights here, and that's what you need to do. But I'm not going to fill the background in. You can if you would like to, because I've got more things to draw, and that hopefully was a good basics overview. Again, showing you using very, very simple techniques. Again, do like and subscribe for all the new updates. Do check out How to Draw Anything, the Basics Part 1, if you are an absolute beginner. And do check out all the over 100 videos. There are loads that you can do. But I've done this using equipment that you can get from a local supermarket or Poundland thrift store, something like that. Costco will have these in. So again, do enjoy drawing this. And it's good. Actually drawing something like this is very, very good, because it's very contemporary, and it will help you to make sense of some of the things, because this is exactly the same whether it's any other disease. Ebola is very, very lethal. We have tuberculosis, we have so many other diseases, and even things that where the doctors are looking at cancer cells and trying to come up with treatments. We have people who rely on medical illustrators to actually help them with what they're doing. They would come to a medical illustrator and say, I need this actually putting together for a presentation or a book or a paper that is going out. Can you produce this image? So I hope that you have enjoyed that. That is a fantastic bit of fun drawing this virus. The virus itself isn't. That is not fun. It is rather scary for a lot of people, but so are many, many, many other diseases. So the best thing that you can do is love your family and your friends, be positive, and enjoy your drawing. Again, thanks very much. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Blessings to you all. Ta-da.